These two were my favorite Ponchitos so far.
Oh
Ken
my gosh,
and
they're
Helen.
so cute. And Helen, like her little missing teeth, like she's missing her baby teeth.
Yes.
So freaking cute.
1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I am one of your hosts, Precious D.
And I am the other one of your hosts, Honeybee. Welcome back, everybody.
Today's movie is Gamera Vs Zigra.
Gamera, Gamera.
It is from 1971.
Ayo, it's 71, baby.
In color, 87 minutes. Budget is 35 million. I do not have a box office. Directed by Noriaki Yuasa. He is the same dude, the guy, the main director for the Gamera film series.
You know the dude.
He's directed.
He's a dude. She's a dude.
He's directed.
We're all dudes. Sorry.
He's directed either all or most of the Gamera movies that we've seen.
Yay. This is our 7th Gamera movie, question mark?
Yes, it is the 7th. The previous one was Gamera vs. Zigra, and the next one is Gamera Super Monster, and then there will be a bit of a break until 1995.
A little Gamera break.
Actually, there's a break now, because Super Monster doesn't come out till 1980.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a 9-year break, and then there's a break between 1980 and 1995, 15-year break. So, and that's the Heisei era. We're still in the Showa era. Gamera Super Monster will still be in the Showa era, and then we'll be in the Heisei era.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're running low on Gamera movies.
We're trucking on through, brother.
There is not nearly as many Gamera movies as there are Godzilla movies, but as we announced a few weeks ago, there's a new Gamera something on the horizon. We still don't know if it's a movie
I'm so excited.
or a series or if it's live action or cartoon, but we'll see.
We'll take it.
Yeah, this one stars Iko Yanami as Woman X / Chikako Sugawara?
Mm-hmm. Space Babe.
Yes. Reiko Kashihara as Kyoko Ishikawa. Mikoko Tsubuchi as Mrs. Ishikawa. Koji Fujiyama as Tom Wallace?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember them ever actually saying his name in the movie.
Yeah, they do call him Tom at one point.
They call him Tom? Okay.
Yeah, they don't call him Tom, but they say, "Look what you did to Tom," or like, "What did you do to Tom?" or something like that.
Isamu Saki as Dr. Yosuke Ishikawa. Yasushi Sakagami as Kenichi Ishikawa, or Ken.
Kenichito.
Arlene Zollner as Margie Wallace, and Gloria Zollner as Helen Wallace.
Aw, Helen is
Shin
so cute.
Minatsu as Kenichi. Are there two Kenichis? I don't. Who's this other Ken?
Well, I thought Kenichi was the boy. Just the little boy. Maybe his dad or something. Most
of the time in the subtitles, they're calling him Ken. His mother calls him Kenichi. So maybe his father is also Ken, but then who's Kyoko?
Oh. Weird.
There's a bunch of Ishikawas, so they all must be the one family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little confused now that I read
Same.
these credits.
Yeah, I don't.
And I was a little
sure.
confused. I was a little ethnically confused throughout this movie. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. But you know, when I first find out this girl's name is Helen, I'm like, Helen? What? Why is this little Japanese girl named Helen? Helen, my grandmother's name, by the way. I don't remember the name Wallace coming up at any point in the movie.
I don't remember Wallace either, but I do remember Tom, and then the little boy's name being Ken. So I guess I didn't think Helen was that weird since her brother, or since his name was Ken. I was like, okay.
Right.
Ken and Helen.
And Margie. So it looks to me, Margie and Helen, though, are played by Arlene Zollner and Gloria Zollner. So presumably they're actually related in real life, because that is not a common name. So as I'm watching this, I'm like, is this little girl mixed? I assumed watching it that she was a Japanese girl.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, her parents appear Japanese, but supposedly their name is Wallace, according to this. But Tom Wallace is played by Koji Fujiyama. That is a Japanese name.
Mm-hmm.
The mother, I don't see her here in the credits, but the mother appeared to be Japanese. My point is, the two daughters look mixed, but their parents look fully Japanese.
These things
The
do happen.
older daughter, they do. I just wonder, was mom stepping out?
Oh my gosh.
Or are these children from a previous marriage? I don't know.
Mind your damn business.
I think what is most likely is that the casting director just didn't give a shit. But I noticed that Margie, again, I'm like, Margie? Why is her name Margie? Margie says several full sentences in English.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Helen speaks English too. Towards the end of the movie, she says some things in English as well.
She's mostly speaking Japanese, but we do hear her say a few things in English, which makes me think that maybe just the actress's English was better than her Japanese. Or if the actresses themselves, their last name is Zollner, but maybe their mother is Japanese. Maybe their father is an American who lives over there and their mother is Japanese. And so maybe they're just actually bilingual and she just slips into English, or it would seem weird that the director would tell her, say this line in English. I just found it all interesting. I'm not upset. I just, I'm not angry about it or anything. I was just like, what's going on here with these kids?
I did not really think that far into it. I was
You
just
didn't
like,
notice
I just
any of that?
accepted it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I like noticed that the little girl didn't look as Japanese as like the other people, and her name was Helen, but I didn't think like, well, I wonder
Fixate
if her
on it.
mom was fucking the milkman. Yeah. Yeah, I was just like,
Fixate on
oh, it just, yeah, I was like in and out.
So here's the thing. If I saw this in a movie that was made today, I probably never would have thought much about it.
Yeah, totally.
It's just the fact that this is made back in 1971. It's just not.
But they
quite
still do
as-
look Japanese. They totally look Japanese. They're right? Did you not think so?
I thought Helen did, but Margie, I was like, wait, because her hair's a lot lighter than everybody else. And I was like, wait, is she even Japanese? And then when I look closer, I'm like, I think she's mixed. So, I just found it all very interesting. There, of course, due to the American occupation of Japan, there were a lot of mixed families. A lot of Americans ended up marrying Japanese ladies. A lot of American soldiers ended up marrying Japanese women. I know this not just because historically, but my mother grew up for a few years in Japan. Her father was in the military. Has this not come up before? Her father stayed in the military after the war, and they lived there for a few years.
Wow.
And she spent some of her early childhood there and actually spoke Japanese. She's forgotten most of it now, but till she was like 4 or 5, something like that. She wasn't born there, but she did live there for a while. So this just came up, over the years. things like this have
Mhm.
come up. A lot of them married local girls, and probably some of them stayed there. And I'm sure there's over the years has been, the thing is, there's just not as much of that in Japan as there is in America.
Yeah, there definitely isn't as
Japan
much
has a
of that.
tendency to be very, let's say, ethnically homogenized.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot less common, particularly in 1971. So it just stood out to me. That's all I'm saying. I've been talking about this for quite some time now. So having said all that, I found these kids adorable.
They are
These
so
two-
adorable.
These two were my favorite Ponchitos so far.
Oh
Ken
my
and
gosh, they're
Helen.
so cute. And Helen, like her little missing teeth, like she's missing her
Yeah.
baby teeth.
Yes.
So freaking cute.
This was the other thing that confused me, though. They keep calling Ken. Ken does not appear to be mixed at all, but they keep calling him Ken, and I was like, "What? Why is he Ken?" But maybe
he's
Kenichi-
mixed also, and he just happens to look more Japanese than his.
Well, but his
little baby
parents, we
sister.
definitely see both of his parents, and they don't. But it could just be that Kenichi is a name, and they're just calling him Ken, and it just coincidentally sounds like an English name. It might not have anything to do with anything. Helen, obviously, very, very English name. Helen and Margie.
Mm-hmm.
But Ken might just be a coincidence. Anyway, I love these two kids. They were
Same.
great. I thought there was something about them that just seemed very natural. They didn't come off as like they were acting like some of the other Ponchitos we've gotten. They were also fairly young.
Yeah, they were a
Which might
lot
be part of it.
younger.
I think they were
Especially
younger
from the
than
last
most.
Gamera movie, because the last Gamera movie
Yeah,
we
where
watched,
they were
the
too
kids
old.
were significantly older. Yeah.
So they overcorrected in the other direction. But it worked because they were
it
fucking. I loved them. They were great. And
were great.
as you may know, I'm not in general a fan of the Ponchito, but I loved these two.
Mm-hmm.
They were great. They made the movie for me. So
Good.
let's jump into the plot of Gamera versus Zigra from Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. In 1985, this was a problem. In 1985, without warning, an alien spaceship attacks a Japanese moon base. So right off the bat, there's a little bit of an issue. Did the movie even say it was 1985, or did it just say in the future?
It just said in the future, or if it did say
Yeah.
1985, I totally missed that. I did
Yeah.
not know that until this very moment.
It was like, in the future, the space travel becomes common and there's moon bases and stuff. Yet
Mhm.
later in the movie, they explicitly say that it's 1971.
Whoopsie.
In the far distant future of this year. So I don't, because there's a part where the kids think that they may have time traveled. We'll go into more detail about that in a minute when we get to it. But they think they might have time traveled, and then they find out, no, we're in 1971, and they have not time traveled. And it's not this. The plot is not that they've traveled from 85 to 71. The plot is that you're still where you were when you left, and they say that it's 1971. So we have a problem here. We have a continuity error.
Little continuity issue.
But it's okay. But it doesn't matter because I love these kids so much.
Aww.
Anyway, a spaceship attacks the moon base. Back on Earth, young Kenichi Ishikawa.
Kenichito.
It says Kenny in the English dubbed version. Ishikawa, his father, Dr. Yosuke, Henry in the English dubbed version, Ishikawa, and his friend Helen Wallace and her father, Dr. Tom Wallace, witness the spaceship descending into the ocean. They go to investigate, but are soon captured by a teleportation beam that brings them aboard the spaceship. It just teleports their whole little rowboat into the spaceship. So this is the kind of nonsense we have seen in multiple times in previous Gamera movies. But this time it's okay because I love these kids so much.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am so glad because I loved it. I also love these kids. And there's not one Gamera movie that I've seen that I don't like. I think I usually like them more than you do. But I
Yeah.
think this one you might like this one a little more. I don't know because I really did enjoy it, but yeah,
I think this is
everything can be excusable with those little baby just smiles. They're
This
just so
is-
happy and just so like yay.
This one is my favorite, and it's all because of these two kids.
Nice. Aww.
Inside the spaceship, a human-looking woman appears to them and reveals that she is of an alien race called the Zigrans. I think they just say Zigra.
Space babe.
And she's wearing, very much
Green
a space
tights.
babe outfit. Yep, green skin tight outfit. And glittery, very glittery, shiny outfit. By way of demonstrating Zigran technological prowess, she creates a gigantic earthquake that wreaks havoc in Japan. She had previously caused 2 other earthquakes, one in Peru and the other in Arabia. In the English dub version, it mentions instead the Indian Ocean. She then tells her prisoners of the planet Zigra's history and its great scientific advances, which unfortunately have resulted in its destruction, but in searching for a new home, Zigra has found Earth.
And as we know, because we've watched these movies before, space babes be crazy.
Yeah. There's also a bunch of stuff. So the main concern of this movie is not space babes, but pollution. What the movie's really about is pollution. Just like how Godzilla is really about atomic bombs, this movie is really about pollution, which was a big concern in the 70s. It's still a concern, but now our concern now is global warming and climate change, which pollution is part of that. But in the 70s, it was more like pollution itself is the problem. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
They were, not that it wasn't a problem. It was a problem, but it was more like, oh, we're making everything so dirty. And they didn't seem to make the connection that, and by making it dirty, we might increase the temperature of the planet. Or we might kill off various species and stuff. It just seemed more like, oh, everything's dirty, and isn't that bad that it's pick up that trash. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Rather than by spewing toxins into the air, we may be changing the environment. It was more, hey, there's a bunch of junk on the ground and there's a bunch of junk floating in the ocean, and that's icky. But it's a bigger problem than that. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass. That's just how living in the 70s. That's how it seemed at the time. So anyway, that's what the Zigrans, it appears, they're ocean creatures. They polluted their oceans. Now they're looking for new oceans because we're polluting our oceans. They I guess have learned their lesson, and they're going to take our oceans from us. We fucked up our oceans. We see that you're fucking up yours. We're going to take them from you before you can totally ruin them because we need them.
Yeah. It was
They're
weird
kinda
when
dicks.
they kind of gave this like explanation of like, well, humans live on land and they eat things in the ocean, and we live in
Oh,
the
man.
ocean, so we eat things on land. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's nonsense, because we also eat things that are on land.
Yeah,
We don't exclusively
exactly.
eat things that are in the ocean.
Exactly.
That makes no goddamn sense. And how many things that live in the ocean come up onto land to get food and then take it back into the ocean?
Zigrans.
Yeah, sure. A crocodile might come up out of its river or whatever to get something off the land and go back into the water, but he's not coming up out of the sea.
Yeah, and it was weird that we had this kind of like parallel storyline, I guess, or it all connects, but like the whole SeaWorld bit, I was like,
Oh yeah.
what?
That was oh geez, I forgot about that for a moment. Everybody in this movie works at or near SeaWorld, which is clearly SeaWorld in 1971. So that was the other thing that is so, moon bases and space travel's common, and then cut to SeaWorld. And they're, doing SeaWorld stuff, feeding the orcas and things like that. One of the kids' mothers works there, I think. And
Everybody
I think
works there.
I think the science that the fathers are doing is connected to SeaWorld. So this is a SeaWorld town. Everybody here works at the SeaWorld factory. Anyway, she then tells her prisoners of the planet Zigra's history and its great scientific advances, which unfortunately have resulted in its destruction. But in searching for a new home, Zigra has found Earth. The woman contacts authorities on Earth and orders them to surrender, or she will kill her prisoners. Tom declares that the Zigran woman is insane, and in anger, she sends the two men into a hypnotic trance.
I love this. I love that she's like, snap! And they're like they just like go to sleep, and then she just like walks
Standing
them
up.
And they just like walk over to wherever she leads them. I just like, okay, get it, Space Babe.
Kenichi and Helen take action, successfully using the ship's control console to escape with their fathers. So at this point in the Gamera series, we are just full-blown. These are children's movies. The children are the stars. Gamera is a friend to children, and Gamera is just a straight-up fucking superhero now.
Yeah, and
I think they see Gamera fly by at this point, don't they? Before they get sucked up.
He flies by right before the shit hits the fan. Kind of like in the last film, how you were like, why did he even like come? Like, how did he know? Something was very much like that. Like, all of a sudden he was there, and then like the kids need him. So super cute. I also love in this little part that we're at here where the Space Babe is like talking to the kids and the dads, how she says like, kids, they come to conclusions faster than adults because blah blah blah. And that's another thing we see in these movies is like the kids always right, the kids leading the show, the kids, and I just love that so much. I love it. Love it.
It is weird that the fathers, they get beamed onto this ship and they're like, what do you mean aliens? I'm like, dude, you just got teleported. Why are you? Also, you live in Gamera world. They see Gamera and they're like, oh, it's Gamera. Look, they're not surprised to see Gamera. Everybody in this world knows Gamera exists. So therefore they know that aliens have come here before.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the two fathers are skeptical that they might be on an alien spaceship. Even though one moment you were in the ocean and then the next moment you're in a room somewhere, obviously in a spaceship. But yeah, the kids just immediately understand and believe what's going on. But when Gamera flies by, they play he's just Superman now. He flies by and they play his theme song. Just like Superman, Gamera. But at this point, I'm on board. I'm like, okay, fine. Kaiju's a superhero. Great.
Yeah, and it's really funny because there's this point where Gamera destroys the enemy and he fire and it just turns to ash and then the kids are like, yay! It's just so funny how dangerous and scary Gamera really could be, but he's just yay, okay. Gamera did the thing. Yeah, it's so funny.
So they get away. The kids somehow know what button to hit to teleport away. And this is so funny too, because they drag their dads into the boat. I don't know where Lady went. She wanders off.
She's still there, but she's standing there, but she's somehow also frozen. She's standing in the corner of the room, also. Oh,
the kids touch
frozen.
something. The kids, when they're running away, they touch something.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of accidentally, and it ends up freezing her too.
Mm-hmm.
So they drag the dads into the boat, and then the girl's like, oh, go hit that green button. And he's like, oh, yeah, this one. Okay. And she's like, quick, get back in the boat. Okay, I'm coming. They get in the boat. And, there's enough of a delay on the teleportation button that he can get back in the boat. And they go back to Earth. So then Zigra, who at this point we don't really, because they sort of use the term interchangeably for the planet and the species and the woman and the thing, the kaiju that we'll see later.
Mm-hmm.
Zigra gets mad and orders the woman to go to Earth to kill the children. And we kind of see Zigra's face up at the top of the room.
Yeah.
his beak, as it were. So she says it would be simpler to kill all the people in Japan, but Zigra tells her that humans must be preserved so they can be used for food.
Mm-hmm.
Now Gamera, intent on discovering the identity of the alien interloper, flies in to save the day and rescue the children and their fathers. He just picks up the boat.
We gotta talk about this. Yeah, it's so cute, but we gotta talk about this moment first from when they first teleport, like, from the boat, like, in the spaceship to back into the ocean, and they need to start their little, like, motor boat, and the girl's like, come on, start the boat, and he's like, the little boy's like, oh, I'm trying, and Helen's like, you can work a spaceship, but you can't work a motor boat, and he's like, well, I could do the spaceship, but motor boats aren't really my bag. That's like a quote. That is an official quote. I mean, in English anyways, that's what the English version says, like, I can do the spaceship, but motor boats aren't really my bag. I was like laughing so hard. That's so funny.
Right. But the actual problem is that he can't pull the cord fast enough.
Fast enough, yeah.
Where he just had to push a button in the spaceship.
Yeah, it was so cute.
He's just not strong enough to start the motor. The poor kid.
Hi, this is Linda Miller, and you are listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
Yeah, Gamera just like flies in and picks up the boat and then carries it to an island somewhere. This is when they think they've time traveled. It rescues the children and their fathers. The summary jumps to the talking to the UN, but I want to talk about the moment they have on the island. He picks them up and then just puts them down somewhere on a little island, or is it near a lighthouse or something? I might be mixing my movies together, but he just sets them down at the closest piece of land that he can find. Mm-hmm. The fathers are still stunned; they're still unconscious or in a trance,
sleeping or whatever. Yeah.
So the kids get out and like, okay, where are we? Let's look around. And they see this guy who looks a little
the crazy scientist type kind of guy that we see. That guy.
No, not that. He's like he looks more like a disheveled homeless guy, but in old fashioned clothing.
Yeah, I just meant like the character, like itself. Like he's the wacky, like, medicine man character.
Oh yeah,
like, wacky, like,
Yes, he's got crazy hair. His clothes look kind of tattered. He's carrying a staff, I think. Mm-hmm. And so they see this guy, and because of the way he's dressed, they think, well, maybe when we teleported, we also traveled in time, because he looks like some sort of ancient Japanese guy. And they have a little bit of a comedy routine with this dude. And at some point ask him what year it is. And that's when he tells them it's 1971.
Wow.
And then they're like, oh, so we didn't time travel. And he's like, oh, I see. No. And gives some weird explanation of why the people that live on this island still dress in traditional clothes, which didn't make any sense to me. And he explains what the name of the island is, and then somehow that's connected to, and that's why we dress this way. And I'm like, what? That made no sense. The weird thing is, though, in a lot of these movies so far, we've seen that there is a mixture of modern dress and traditional dress. Maybe by 1971, it's getting less, but I think it just struck me as a little weird that they were so confused by his outfit. Maybe it's the fact that it doesn't look fancy, that it's so tattered. I don't know. It's not important.
Maybe it's one of those things where, like, because you're a kid, it's kind of like, when you're a kid and you go to school and you think your teachers are, like, ancient, but then you, like, turn 30 and realize all your teachers were just, like, in their 30s.
Right.
Like, maybe it's one of those things where they're just like, whoa, like, what are you, like, what year are you from? Just because, like, the perspective of the child, but really it's just like a normal ass guy.
Right. So anyway, and then they just are suddenly back at UN headquarters. So somehow they've found them. I mean, they were communicating with the world from the ship. So I guess they were looking for them. I don't know. But they're at UN headquarters, and after questioning Kenchi and Helen, oh, and the whole, there's some, general or soldier of some kind who's asking them questions, and it looks like there's a bunch of reporters and various people around, and their mothers are there, asking them questions, and just their whole question and answer thing was pretty funny. The answers that they're giving was pretty funny.
Adorable.
So anyway, after questioning them, the UN authorities resolve to attack Zigra. The Defense Force jets scramble, and the Zigran spaceship makes short work of them with its powerful lasers. The alien woman arrives on Earth, disguised as a normal human, and begins her search for Kenchi and Helen.
Is her human disguise just a bikini, or
it is? It's a
okay?
Bikini. So she beams down to Earth in her obvious space lady outfit, sees onto a beach where there's a couple of young women who have been out, on the beach in bikinis, and they're about to leave, and they run into her, and she does her little hypno. She's got her hypnosis thing. Her eyes light up, and she snaps at you, and you're in a trance. So her idea of the way to blend in is to steal somebody's bikini and then just go walking down the street in her bikini. And I think she takes the towel also.
She does take it, but she eventually loses it and is just in the bikini.
So this to me was very much, this is a kid's movie, but let's put a little something in there for the dads who have to take their kids to the movie. Something to keep the dads entertained.
Is that what was happening?
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. You see this in Doctor Who, old classic Doctor Who, that was generally perceived as a kids show, but sometimes the doctor's companion was sometimes perceived as a little something for the dads.
Oh, so spice.
Yeah, make that skirt a little shorter for the dads. Make that shirt a little lower cut for the dads. Anyway, yeah, she's just running down the street in a bikini and hitches a ride. She hitches a ride with Kamogawa, SeaWorld dolphin trainer, back to the facility, which the military is now using as its center of operations, because why not?
Like you do.
Don't we have a base nearby? Yeah, but let's use SeaWorld because that's where the kids live, so we'll set up base here. And was there some sort of a promotional agreement between the production and SeaWorld, maybe?
Maybe.
Seems like, because they do mention it by name.
Mm-hmm.
They say SeaWorld. They don't say some made-up park.
That would make sense.
She finds the two children, but before she can catch them, they run away from her. And she does switch into a more practical outfit. She's still somebody else's clothes when she arrives at SeaWorld. Although it does seem like maybe SeaWorld is a place where it's not inappropriate to be in a bikini.
Maybe not completely, entirely. I don't know. I've never been.
I haven't, but I've been to similar things, and it seems like maybe there's water attractions. I don't know.
I think you get like splashed with water.
Anyway, they put the poor actress into a more practical outfit. Gamera begins an underwater assault on the Zigran spaceship, which transforms into a giant swordfish-like monster when hit by Gamera's flame breath. So basically he burns the ship away from the outside of the creature. It's kind of like he was wearing the ship as a spacesuit.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the ship kind of looks like a cat bowl of Fruity Pebbles.
I described it as the gumdrop spaceship. It looked like a bunch of gumdrops had been glued onto a dome.
Yeah.
With lights underneath. So Zigra grows larger and larger and finally halts the heroic turtle with a ray that suspends his cell activity. He puts a whammy on him, freezes him. He's just getting bigger because our ocean pressure is different.
Yeah, that's what he says. The water pressure is different.
Yeah, I'm like, what, how? The water pressure would be different if their planet were a different size from Earth and therefore had a less gravity or more gravity. That would make it different. That's true. I don't see how that means he just starts to inflate and get bigger. The water pressure would have to be less for him to get bigger, I would think. Yeah.
Something else that I noticed in this movie, though, that Gamera only uses his back to jets in this whole film. He doesn't use all four ever. He only uses his back to, and then has his like arms out straight.
Right. Well, that's because he's Superman now. So he doesn't do his spinning spaceship flying. He does Superman flying through the air. They may as well just put a cape on him. Yeah, he uses his back jets with his arms out in front of him because he's a superhero now and not a spaceship. Immobilized, Gamera sinks into the sea. Zigra then makes contact with the people of Earth, saying that they should give up and surrender all the seas to it. Back at SeaWorld, the dolphin trainer and the facility's scientists discover a way to break the aliens' hypnotic control with sonic waves. Thus, they manage to disable the Zigran woman, only to learn that she is actually an Earth woman named Chikako Sugawara.
Chikako!
Apparently, they call her Laura Lee in the English dubbed version, who had been in a moon rover during the initial lunar attack and was captured and used by Zigra. So she's just a victim of Zigra as well.
Mm-hmm.
So now we get to like Space Babe, because she's not really Space Babe, she's just Earth Babe.
Now she's an Earth babe.
Doctors Wallace and Ishikawa employ a bathysphere in an attempt to wake Gamera, only to find that Kenshi and Helen have fucking stowed away on board. These two little... I mean, I was not surprised for a moment when they... And I'm like... But I was like, these two fucking Ponchitos. What the hell, man?
That is some serious Ponchito behavior.
Yes. They just come out of the back and they're like, hi, Dad. Hi, Dad. I was like, oh, God damn it. Zigra suddenly attacks them and again demands the immediate surrender of Earth or it will destroy the bathysphere because, yes, few billion people should surrender their entire planet to save these four dum-dums. The UN commander reluctantly agrees to the aliens' terms because we do, in fact, negotiate with terrorists.
Damn it.
I mean, that's what they're doing. They're absolutely, a terrorist makes a threat against four people and they say, all right, we give up the planet. An electrical storm approaches the bay and a couple of lightning bolts revive Gamera, because why not? Who stealthily takes the bathysphere. I mean, that's what lightning does. It brings things back to life. It doesn't kill people because Frankenstein. Takes the I love this part. A couple lightning bolts revive Gamera, who stealthily takes the bathysphere from the seafloor when Zigra is not looking and returns it to the surface. Zigra is taking a snooze on the ocean floor and Gamera's just sneaking up on the bathysphere and then he's like, doop, doop, doop. Oh, is he waking up? No. And he backs up a little bit and he's like, oh, nope, there he is. He reaches out and he's like, yoink.
That's so
And
funny.
this was so fucking stupid, but so hilarious that I just loved it.
Like the way he like yoinks him up and then turns around and like waddles off. Like, got it.
Yeah. Gamera and Zigra face off a final time, and Zigra, using its superior versatility underwater, slices Gamera's chest with its blade-like dorsal fin. It cuts him pretty deep. He's bleeding.
Yeah, it's crazy this part, like, because I was like, dang, like, we've seen Gamera, like, go through some crazy-ass shit with his shell and not be this hurt, but he just slices right through him. I was like, dang, he's, like, bleeding in the water. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it's an undershell, which is not quite as hard as his top shell, but it seemed to cut through it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gamera takes hold of Zigra, flies into the air with it, and then drops it at high speed, slamming the alien monster onto land. Zigra stands up awkwardly on its tail fins in order to fight Gamera.
I love this. This was so funny because this was like the moment where it was like, where it goes from like a toy zipping around Gamera to man in a suit.
Yes. Gamera further incapacitates Zigra by jamming a boulder through its nose, pinning it to the ground. Gamera grabs another boulder and uses it like a mallet used to play a xylophone to play the Gamera theme on Zigra's dorsal fins.
Oh my gosh.
This was insane. So they say dorsal fins. He's got sort of multiple finny, spiky things on his back of different sizes. So Gamera, so therefore they make different tones when he plays them like a xylophone and plays his own goddamn theme song.
This is another one of those moments where it's like Gamera's such a like savage, like he's such a badass, but then like you turn around and the kids are like, yay, 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 Gamera!
And the kids yell out, Gamera, use your fire breath. And apparently Gamera just understands Japanese now.
It's like, you're right, Ken. I'd love to use my fire breath. Oh, Helen.
Finally, Gamera kills Zigra by setting its body on fire with his flame breath, reducing it to ashes in a massive conflagration. At the end.
Oh,
Was there any,
gosh.
I don't remember, was there any little wrap up, or does it just give us the end over the flaming, over the ashes?
It's like it like flames up, he goes into flames, and then it turns into ashes, and then like the ashes kind of like float, like kind of like blow away, and it's just like a black spot on the ground, and then it just like the camera pans to Gamera, and he's like, roar, and it's like, yay, Gamera, and then it's like the red Japanese letters of like the end.
So that is Gamera versus Zigra.
Yay! Your favorite Gamera film.
I think it just finally reached a critical mass, or it reached a tipping point for me.
Gamera's wearing you down.
Well, it reached a point where it became so stupid that it was incredible. But mostly these two kids in particular, I just loved them. I found most of our other Ponchitos annoying, but I loved these two kids. And I think it was not just that they were young and cute, but also just the naturalness of their performance. Whereas the original Ponchito, he's very much acting.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't believe him for a moment. He is very much a young actor in a movie. I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
Whereas these kids just seem like a couple of actual kids that are actually doing all this shit, and I loved them.
Yeah,
loved them.
I did love them as well. I really love the kaiju Zigra kaiju in this. I didn't really think about Swordfish. I was thinking he was more like sharky than Swordfish. He's probably one of my favorite. He's my favorite like kaiju that Gamera has fought for sure, because I love sharks and they are one of my very most favorite animals. So I really loved, like, as soon as I saw him come out and he was like zipping around in the water, I was like screaming like, oh my god, is it a shark? Like, I was so excited. I'm like, oh, I love the bad guy. I don't want to love the bad guy, but love the bad guy. I really liked so I think it's my favorite kaiju that Gamera has fought thus far. I don't know if they're my favorite Ponchitos. I do love them, but I love most Ponchitos. I don't find them as annoying as you do, so I don't know if they're my favorite, but
Zigra is a little bit shark, a little bit swordfish, and then he's got a beak under his sword. So he's a mashup. But yeah, definitely shark-like coloration. But definitely a big old point on his schnoz and a beak underneath that. So
loved it.
I don't love sharks as much as you do. I don't dislike sharks, but I'm not super into them, so I didn't really love his design, but I didn't hate it either. It was just okay.
Nice.
So what are you going to give? How many stars?
Still 4 for me. Still 4 stars for me. Gameras are usually 4 stars for me. I really enjoy them. I really like them a lot.
I'm gonna give it 4. Maybe even 5.
Oh, shit.
Well, I mean, if 5 means I loved it, the thing is,
Like, as far as Gamera movies, you loved it, but as far as movies goes, a 4.
Well, here's the thing. I loved those kids, but do I feel I need to watch this movie again sometime? Not sure. Because most 5-star movies for me are movies that I'm going to watch again.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to have to give it a 4. But all 4 stars
That
are
makes
for those
sense.
2 kids. All 4 of those stars go to the 2 kids.
Hell yeah.
Oh God, when the woman is chasing them around SeaWorld, it's just so ridiculous. She's chasing them around a pool. They're hiding behind stuff. The guy that works at there's a whole thing with the city's evacuating at one point, and the guy who is the dolphin trainer and the guy who manages the hotel at SeaWorld are fighting over some fish because he wants to feed them to the dolphins, but the manager wants to feed them to his guests. He's like, what guests? The city's been evacuated. Like, there's as long as there's one guest left, I will stay at the hotel. So I guess there was one guest left. I mean, the army's set up base there, so maybe he needs to feed them. I don't know, but that was
well,
all
he was
kinda...
talking about the animals. I thought he was staying to feed the animals.
No, the 2 guys are fighting. The dolphin trainer and an orca trainer. He wants to feed. He wants some. They're in the market and they're arguing over who's going to buy these fish. He wants them. One guy wants them for the animals, and the other guy wants them for the hotel guests. They both work for SeaWorld, but they're arguing about which of them get the fish
Okay.
to feed to whom. So I thought that whole bit was kind of funny. I enjoyed that thing that was going on there. Yeah, but they are both actually SeaWorld employees. And meanwhile, the fishmonger is like, eventually is like, just take him. I'm getting out of here. Because, there's kaiju attacking. He's like, all right, whatever, bye. So he ends up not getting paid by either of them. I don't know what got me. For some reason, talking about the chase around SeaWorld reminded me that there's other SeaWorld shit going on as well in this movie. So, yeah. All right. My final rating is a 4.
Nice. Same. 4 for me as well.
Folks, Gamera Vs Zigra is available on Amazon Prime, and I think it's also maybe on Tubi and Pluto. Check and make sure. Some of the Godzillas and some of the Gameras are on those services now, and some of them aren't. So, check. But it's definitely on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Next week's movie will be Godzilla vs. Hedorah.
Yay!
Still from 1971. So we've had 2 from 70. We'll have 2 from 71. We'll have 2 from 72. And then for a little while, we're going to have, let's see, then we'll have 1 from 73, 1 from 74, then 2 from 75, but one of them's US. We're starting to get fewer movies per year than we were getting back in the 50s and the 60s. So it's getting, we're gonna be hitting
spreading out a little bit,
a thin patch, a dry spell.
A dry spell,
which means we'll be moving through the years faster, though. Be starting to catch up.
Yeah.
So there you go. We may catch up to 2022 faster than we realize. All right, folks, that is it for today's episode. Please go on our socials, find us and message us. Follow us on all the things. You can find links to all the things at mmftg.bio.link. Tell us what you thought of this movie. Still trying to give a Twitter giveaway if Twitter still exists by the time this episode comes out. Until then, I have been Precious D.
And I have been Honeybee.
Remember to keep calm and seek shelter in basements.
And please don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
Bye.
You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texicano Folk Rock Punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/MMFTG.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I've been drinking soda today.